Let's go talk about Arsenal. Big news of Edu Gaspar has decided to step down as the Arsenal sporting director. This is a big loss for the club. He's obviously been a massive role in the entire rebuild and backing Arteta and getting him what he needs. Mid-season, Arsenal in a bit of disarray. Is this shocking to you? Big loss for the club. What were your immediate reactions to this?
I must admit, I was very surprised, especially the timing of it this time of year. But I suppose when you look at his roles, it's outside of a transfer window, so it probably is about the right sort of time if it was going to happen. I read a very interesting piece and did some research myself on this. And if you look at his whole record of players that he's bought, and I think there's been over £800 million spent, it's a pretty mixed record. Yes, he's had some real big successes, but he's also had quite a few flops. And I remember once speaking to Alex Ferguson, who told me that, if you're batting above 50-50 in your selections as a manager, then you're doing very well. Now, as a chief executive, I want to see a much higher number than 50-50. I want to see it getting closer to 80% success at least. But with Edu, I saw it 50-50, if not even less. But nevertheless, some of them were great players. Now, where I think he'll be missed is in the chemistry at Arsenal, at the top of the club. I think he was a bit of oil that was on troubled waters sometimes. Everybody liked him. He had a great personality from what I hear. I haven't met him personally, but nevertheless, I hear that he was the lubricant that did a lot of things right in Arsenal and kept the team together, both off the pitch and on the pitch, and communicated well with all parties. I think that will be missed, and I think that could lead to some friction with Arteta and the board, etc. But we'll see how that goes. But I think he was important in that area of communication.
And who do you think might take over next at Arsenal? If not a name, what type of person might take over next in terms of sporting director? And will it be someone you think that already has a relationship with Arteta or maybe already has a relationship with the Kroenkes? Like, where do you see that fitting in for Arsenal's boardroom?
I think this will be a decision made by the Kroenkes in particular. I think it will be the son who's very much involved, Josh. I think he'll be listen to a lot of people, but I think ultimately they will make that decision. I think they'll take into account what Arteta thinks, but he'll only have an opinion to give. It won't be his decision as far as I would think, and I think they'll make this a very firm club decision. There's now a smaller board at Arsenal. It's a very tough board, and in my opinion, they've made some very poor decisions. So those people that are there are going to have to make this crucial decision. I hope they get it more right than Man United. It's going to be a crucial one, but you've got a lot of personalities there that you're going to have to take into account. And Edu managed it politically very, very well. Whoever it is coming into this, this is going to have a burning pot of ambition at Arsenal that's not going to be easy. So he better hit the ground running. It'll have to be somebody very experienced, but also somebody more of a politician, and that's going to be an important factor for anybody that they're interviewing.
And we hear all the time with Mikel Arteta and Arsenal how involved he is with the player transfers and how much he wants to be involved, calling players, convincing them to come, hosting them for dinners, whatever it might be. Is that a worry for an incoming sporting director who might want to have more control than having to kind of work with the manager to make those types of decisions? Does that kind of change the type of person you're bringing in? Or is it exciting to have a manager who wants to be so hands-on in that role?
Well, you're absolutely right. It's a difficult thing to know that you've got a manager who wants to get so involved. You want to welcome that part of you, but also on the other side, if it leads to conflict, and normally it's at the start of a relationship that there is conflict, if there's going to be any, then it can be a problem. Look, I know Mikel. I signed him for Everton, and I know him well as a person. He's a fiery competitor. He wants nothing but the best. That's all he wants. But sometimes you've got to just let the sporting director do his job. And I'm sure Mikel is now seasoned enough, and he's learning every season as he goes. He's become a well-experienced manager now. He will know that it's time to just accept the owner's decision on a sporting director. And hopefully they've taken that into account, that it's somebody who can really get on well personally with Mikel. But it certainly, as I said, I don't think it'll be his decision.
And we know Edu is likely taking over this role with Marinakis and Nottingham Forest and Olympiacos. What does the arrival of Edu mean for Forest, and what is that role that he is taking on?
Well, I mean, that's the surprise when that came out, that he's actually going to Marinakis. I mean, the rumours are that he's getting twice the money that he was getting at Arsenal, and he's going to go there. I think certainly some of the agents that he's close to, I believe, are close to Marinakis, are going to be having a big say in how they're going to try and do things going forward. It's a case, I think, of Forest saying, right, we want to play with the big boys. I mean, look, right now their league position's incredible. I think they're lying third as we speak, which is phenomenal. And we had this discussion at the start of the season, how they try and establish themselves in the Premier League. This is another step towards that. And having those contacts that Edu's got and having dealt with all the top agents, everybody around the world, his knowledge, his black book is fantastic. He can be a great sporting director. And I think, as we've discussed about his personality, that may be really helpful to take the edge off Marinakis and his, should we say, his brusqueness sometimes, which I've applauded in many times, but we all know he's got an edge. But nevertheless, that could be a good pairing together. Maybe not, though. Maybe there is just too much of Marinakis that's going to be fighting. But I think Edu can handle that, hopefully. So I think it's good news for Forest, and I think it does help put them at more of the top table and a chance to stay in the Premier League.